know what the perfect radio voice is?
Because it's loud but not.
Yeah.
It's loud, but not
clipping.
like clipping loud.
Hit publish. Just call me.
We should talk like this the whole time.
Try not to be too pitchy. Oh my gosh.
Are we ready to just sound checking, or do you want to save that magic?
I really. I kind of do. So if we can just go into the intro.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. Today, I am joined by co-host Hanna.
Hello.
I don't know why I say today, like, for the past, 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it has been a little bit. And our perfectly pitched producer, 3 Ps, perfectly pitched producer.
Oh, I like it.
Fish.
I got nothing.
So, Hanna, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about fluff.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Marshmallow fluff.
Marshmallow fluff,
Yes.
specifically. Also, at one point known as marshmallow cream,
Okay.
but I think that's technically a little different. I think it's a little more creamy
I think
it more
versus
liquidy.
fluff.
Yeah.
I think Fluff is the brand name.
It is, but it also isn't. So it is the brand name, but I think it was a direct result in naming it that because they made it fluffier than regular marshmallow cream, which had been used for a little bit before fluff became a thing.
I suppose I've had marshmallow on Sundays that's more creamy.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm down.
Cool. 1896 was the first, at least written record of marshmallow cream specifically, and it was in the Boston Cooking School school cookbook, which just had a recipe detailing how you could use melted down marshmallows to make frosting if you were in a bind. So a quick, easy way to make frosting.
Okay.
So in 1910, there was plenty of business.
Don't tell us you were going to bring it.
Yes, I was going to bring in fluff and I forgot it. I know.
Now I'm really sad.
I know. I'm actually really bummed out. I forgot it. Boston was known as the candy capital for a little while.
Really?
Yeah.
Did Willy Wonka live here?
No, but plenty of candy makers came right out of Boston, and a lot
I
of.
suppose we had Necco.
Yeah.
And the other ones. There was the one in isn't there one in Brockton that's kind of a big deal?
There was one, and there was a lot of places in Quincy too. I remember I went on a tour of a chocolate factory in current operations, when I was probably 12. So I don't know where they stand now, but
Okay.
not that long ago they were they were raring to go, pumping out chocolates. So marshmallow cream was being produced by a lot of businesses, so that was 1910. Marshmallow fluff, as we closely to know what we know it today, is credited to Archibald Query.
Okay.
And he's from Somerville. And
An old-timey name.
it is. And he made it in his kitchen and sold it door to door in 1917. Yeah.
So a World War I door-to-door marshmallow fluff salesman.
Yes, and there was a lot of door-to-door stuff back then.
Yeah.
So war times pushed his business to a close just based off of what he could get for materials. I guess sugar was usually the ration thing. He found other work, and then when the wartime was over, he didn't have an interest to go back into it.
Okay.
So that brings up some Swampscott graduates.
I don't know why you said it like that.
I don't know either.
Hannah, is this podcast officially pro Swampscott?
I'm just cheering them on.
You sound super enthusiastic about this, and I don't know
I'm
why.
not anti-Swampscott.
I'm not anti-Swampscott. I'm just I figured it was a more of a Swampscott neutral approach to the show, and Hannah is just coming in
Not anymore.
hot. Yeah.
Go Swampscott.
Yeah. Who's their mascot? The Fighting Swamps. So Harold Allen Durkee and Fred L. It says Mower to me,
Okay.
so I'm gonna say Mower. But is it Mower?
I'll
How
agree
is
with
it
you.
MOER?
Mower.
Probably mower.
Mower? Okay, great. I was like, that's that word. But you know me and last names. I just start questioning my entire existence as soon as I see them. So they were returning from war. They were veterans. I believe they were both in the infantry. And they had been making confections together in their kitchens as a little business themselves, also selling door to door. But when they found out that Archibald no longer wanted to sell his marshmallow fluff, they pulled their money together and bought the recipe from him.
Do you know how much they paid?
No. I know.
Probably like
it was 1917.
$30.
Yeah. No, it didn't say. Just a heads up too. I got most of this information like from the Fluff website, like the official Fluff website, and there was a little bit more on eater.com, just because Fluff only started from like the time that marshmallow fluff was invented, and I was like, I'm sure people melted marshmallows before then. I'm sure people had melty marshmallow business going on before it was even mentioned, like that is written down. Like, how could they not?
Yeah, I feel like that'd be pretty easy
right.
What else would they put on their Rice Krispies?
Exactly. 1 + 1 = 2. Melted marshmallows. It all makes sense. So, since they bought his business, they definitely were slow to start. There was like a quote from one of them that said, we started out with just like 20 pounds of sugar in the kitchen with just a couple random tools and making it work. And then by May 14th, 1920, they had a article about them in the Lynn Daily Evening, just announcing that marshmallow fluff was the hot ticket, and these guys were selling it. So a nice little piece about them was put in the news.
It's always nice when the news has like random puff pieces about you pop up.
Random fluff pieces. Yeah.
God, I put it on a tee for you guys.
Yeah, you did.
Gosh, this does remind me. Sorry.
I'm
away from the microphone. I just had to make sure my phone was out because I do need to play something over my phone at one point.
Ooh, this one has
yeah,
all sorts of visual aids. I mean, they're not here.
We had this would have been audio and visual, and then you know what? It's probably best that we not end up eating fluff on mic. So
yeah, true. So when it became a little more popular, they renamed it to Toot Sweets Marshmallow Fluff. Obviously, the Toot Sweets part fell off.
Yeah,
and it just reminded me of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But I guess it was because they served in France. Was part of the inspiration of that name, and that's a thing in France.
So
means
fluff
right
is
away.
a thing?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sure it does. Yeah. Get that too sweet. Okay, yeah. I get it now.
I literally was like, those are the whistles that they sing with in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. You guys know that part? I'm not going to sing the song, that's for sure. But
is that the part you're going to play for us?
No, that would be really...
Copyright infringement.
Yeah.
That's fair use. We're fine.
Yeah, only if I right? Is it old enough? The thing I'm going to play is old enough. I'm sure
it's not old enough, but as long as it's not long, we're fine.
Yeah. And the thing...
And during Disney is famously not litigious.
They're probably going to sue us just for saying Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Oh my gosh. So they were crazy popular, and to start they were not crazy popular, like I said, and just for record, during the month of April 1920, they only sold 3 gallons at $1 a gallon, and it was to a vacation lodge in New Hampshire. Just for that month, that was their receipts. So they weren't doing well all the time.
$3 for a month.
Yeah. Oof. So and mind you, that's before the article came out. I just realized. So maybe I think the article really turned it around for them. It must have, because look at where Fluff is now.
That's right.
The door-to-door did end up paying off eventually. So by 1927, they were had their own shelves space in grocery stores, just throughout New England. And in 1927, they also had newspaper ads taken out for their business. So they were in the papers. 1929, they moved to a 10,000 square foot factory in Brookline. Sorry, on Brookline Street in East Lynn.
Try that again?
On Brookline Street in East Lynn.
Okay.
So closer to Swampscott.
Yay, Swampscott!
Yeah, woo! And they had 10 employees. So the expansion was definitely top of mind for them, and they wanted to just kind of get their hands in more confections business. So they joined or combined with Cream of Chocolate Company with the interest in getting into the hot chocolate business.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is, because it's nothing that's like still around today,
Right.
but I just thought it was a...
Yeah, no one drinks hot chocolate.
No, just not their business. I think Swiss Miss stole the show for them. But some people who are listening might remember their company. So they originally named it Rich's Instant Sweet Milk Chocolate, which is a long...
It's very wordy.
Yeah, too long. They renamed it to Sweeco.
Okay.
So SWEECO. So some people...
Sweet, not sweet.
Not sweet, Sweeco.
Oh, okay.
So some people... Some people might remember that who listen. But that only lasts until 1960, and then they disbanded part of the company. They grew away from it.
Okay.
But it seemed like it did them well for a long time.
Okay, and for the record, the only Sweeco I can find now is a Latvian candy company.
I bet that's who they sold to.
Maybe.
Overseas.
Because it's now just
Overseas.
Sweeco.lv.
Okay, so 1930, they had ads on the radio, really fun ones, like the ones you'd hear like that movie where they'd you'll shoot your eye out, Christmas Story.
Like Ovaltine.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly what it was like. So they'd have little skits, they'd do little like comedy acts, they'd have songs, and it was all based around the Flufferettes. Which was like...
the Flufferettes?
Yep, which was like the musical number, and it was broadcast...
Are they like the Rockettes?
Kind of, but radio. And it was aired all over New England.
Instead of tap dancing, they moosh.
They had like... They were all in a basin of fluff.
Yeah.
And it ran on Sunday for 15 minutes. So it was like a little show every Sunday, once a week. And... I'm going to play what the Flufferette sounded like for you.
Okay, this is exciting.
Yeah.
For something delicious, you know well enough. You will get your wishes with marshmallow fluff.
You get the point. Did you hear it, Fish?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
just wanted to
okay?
make sure it sounded...
Yeah.
That was...
sounded old-timey and not crappy.
Yeah, make sure I didn't have to just drop it into
I know. So that was the Flufferettes.
Nice.
Pretty charming,
That's
right?
old-timey and quaint.
I like that it still had the crackling of the radio and the sound for it. So World War II obviously came about and caused another ration of supplies for what they were making. Sugar specifically again, and they were forced to cut back in how much they were actually producing. They talked about like, what if we just thinned out the measurements, but they didn't want the quality of the fluff to like go down. So they, instead of making the same amount with less, they just made less.
Huh, okay.
And they used like a supply and demand like calculator from their sales from past years to see like what areas sold the most fluff, and just gave like percentages of the supply to those areas that sold the most.
So they effectively won an allocation.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the word I was trying to think of.
So, they just didn't want to cheapen the recipe. And they just waited and waited until the war was over. No, I'm joking. So they used the open space in their factory to help with war efforts. And it became somewhat of a packaging production area for electrics or electronics and optics, getting staged and shipped out. And they helped with like waterproofing packaging and sending them wherever it was going.
Wherever they needed to go.
Yep. The Flufferettes also changed their campaign.
Yeah.
And just helped endorse war
Like
efforts.
sell war bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like, support your troops kind of thing. And so the show also changed with that time. And then in 1945, Durkee and Mower made plans to expand with new offices. And they also wanted to reinvent the jar that the fluff was kept in.
Yep.
So they used a survey that they sent out amongst New England and the housewives in New England to see what they wanted in a jar. And they wanted a jar that you could easily fit a spoon into the top of. So
Yeah.
one with a wide mouth, a good sealable lid, one that could fit into the refrigerator. But Fluff is
Shelf stable.
shelf stable.
Okay,
it
'cause
is,
I'm like, I'd
but
never
not
put
for
it in the fridge when I
not
was a
for
kid.
the fluff. They wanted it for leftovers. To reuse it. So what they also did is they added like these little bumps on like the bottom and on the top near the rim, I guess.
Yeah.
And that helps like just stabilize the glass and make it sturdier.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that
you should almost like textured.
yes,
Yeah.
So that's
I
what
remember those.
that's what that is for. So and they did that with like taking into account what their customers were looking for in a jar, and they still use that same jar to this day.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Oh, and like did I mention the lid? They wanted like a nice sealable lid and one that would. Yes, I think it did. Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah.
Because it is a good lid. Fits on tight. So, in 1950, the factory was opened. It's been opened. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes really quick. Oh, so it was like. Once the wartime efforts were over, they really wanted to like redo the factory. That was part of like their expansion, and they wanted to really focus on quality, obviously cleanliness and efficiency. So they went from 80 jars per minute to 125 jars per minute.
Wow.
With some new systems they put in place. They didn't like take out any manpower with the new machines they had, so
Yeah.
they didn't have to like
Lay people off.
lay people off or anything like
It's
that.
very conscious.
They do.
Conscious. Can't say that word.
They definitely do. And then cleaning, I guess, was like a big routine with them. Like for the whole factory, they would spend like an hour and a half of all the employees like scrubbing it from head to toe. They said everything was like white
Yeah.
so that like if there was dirt or unsanitary things, they'd be able to see it and like
I was just
spec
like
it out.
thinking if you spilled fluff, you would never see it.
I know. And then they were also very conscious about like the state that the fluff was in when it was like in the open air. So they had the temperature of the rooms really monitored and the humidity. So it was like for 1950, I feel like they were.
These guys
a lot,
cared
yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And in 1956, they started doing like more collaborations, so different from actually absorbing another company.
Yeah.
This is where all those like fun fluff recipes come from. So they started with Nestle.
Yeah.
And they did a collab, like they think they had like a chocolate bits something, and it was for a new recipe on like, well, making like Rice Krispies or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And then, oh no, it was for fudge.
Oh, okay.
And it was this one for fudge, which I've never had fluff fudge
Never had
before.
fluff fudge either.
But I guess it's
I
still.
think we know a guy though.
You've had fluff fudge?
No, but we know-
we
Oh.
know a guy that could.
Excuse me, we do not know a
I'm
fudge
sorry.
guy. We know a fudge lady.
Yes, we know a fudge lady.
Okay,
That maybe we can be like, hey, make some fluff fudge.
that would be cool. And that same recipe is still printed on the labels today.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Some other fun recipes to come out of that time with the collabs they did, 1969. Oh, no, sorry, not that year. Was one for Rice Krispies treats.
Yep.
And another was for quick cheesecake.
That's interesting.
And you can make cheesecake with fluff.
Huh.
Yeah. We'll have to try all these
Yeah.
things.
We'll have to have snacks now.
This episode's going to have a follow-up, and it's just going to be us eating.
And I've actually never made Rice Krispies with fluff.
No, I've always melted the marshmallows.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm like, wait.
It feels like I was wasting time.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you wasting a step? Yeah. And
I feel kind of stupid now.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
a walk across the store, because you go to the grocery store, they're in the same aisle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was one of those things. 1969, they didn't like. They weren't the first ones to do it, but they definitely were like one of the bigger brands to step into the plastic container world.
When you're talking about remodeling the jars, that's where I thought you were going to go.
No.
Because that, like, to
It's-
me, that is like the iconic fluff container, that big, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
Plastic
quart.
tub?
Yeah, the plastic tub. And,
Yep.
like, my dad's workshop downstairs growing up was full of them with assorted, like, nuts and bolts and screws and whatever the else he was saving.
And yeah, 1969. So it was right on like the first crest of that like Tupperware plastic wave anyways, but
Yeah.
that's definitely, I think, what people know it to be today. But they still have the glass one. That's the one I bought because I realistically didn't know how much fluff I wanted to slam down.
So wait, how much fluff have you slammed down so far?
I've had 2 peanut butter and fluff sandwiches.
That's something we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
The
Fluffernutter?
Fluffernutter.
So we're about to.
Okay.
Stop jumping ahead, fish.
Andy.
I'm not jumping ahead. I'm not jumping ahead. I am segueing.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's what I was doing too.
And it's been a household name ever since, I think, obviously, especially in New England. It's a long time loved thing. It's global now, too. It's not just in the United States. It's in several countries.
It's definitely easier to find here than other places.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did write Fluffernutter as like the last thing on my notes because I did not grow up calling them that. They were peanut butter and fluff sandwiches to me. I don't think I heard the word Fluffernutter until I was an adult.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew of the term, but to me it's just peanut butter and fluff.
Yeah.
I mean,
You?
Don't eat peanut butter.
Oh.
So,
But what did people call it around you?
like no one in my house ate fluff growing up. Like we weren't
Monsters.
a marshmallow fluff family.
Yeah.
So that we didn't.
You didn't?
So
Yeah.
So you just pick up Fluffernutter from like people around you. I don't tell you.
I remember
Yeah.
there was a strawberry fluff for a while.
There was.
Yeah. I don't know if they still make it.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not, I don't want to say it was an adult, but probably like a teenager.
Yeah.
And I was like, Fluffernutter, what are you guys saying? Peanut butter and fluff.
It was mentioned on Sesame Street at one point.
A Fluffernutter?
Yes. Because Oscar the Grouch said that his favorite sandwich was peanut butter fluff and mayonnaise.
Ugh.
And I know this because my sister insisted my parents make her one. And to this day still eats them.
That's awful.
They're terrible. Because of course
What?
you're like, I'm going to try that. And you're like, blah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Fluff and mayonnaise?
Yep. Peanut butter fluff mayonnaise.
That's,
Yeah, it's horrendous.
yikes.
It's as gross as you think it would be.
Oh my God.
Like I'm impressed that you found a way to make peanut butter less palatable for me.
You're welcome.
No, it's just like peanut butter by itself will make me vomit. Now I'm like thinking about it makes me kind of queasy.
That's crazy. I know. I like want to change the
That
subject.
is an extra step.
Oh my
God.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't make her eat it.
But yeah, it was not something that I grew up with. And we ate a lot of peanut butter and fluffs. Fluff was cheap.
Yeah.
Like-
oh yeah. Like
Yeah.
we always had it in the house.
Yeah. Fluff was very cheap. You're right. It
And
was
it
all,
always gets that peanut butter swirl in the middle.
yeah. I liked when you first opened it, right? Because kind of like peanut butter had the little
like,
dollop.
yep,
yeah,
at the
thing.
top.
That was nice. Yeah, the first crack into the can. And then the lady who babysat me too, who if out of all the people in the world that I know that would say Fluffernutter, I would think she would be the one.
Yeah.
Just because she's like, her whole like family vibe was just all like very New Englandy, and they called it peanut butter and fluff.
Yeah. I know I'd heard the term, but like I don't think
I don't.
used it on the reg.
Yeah. And so I'm like, who used this? Who?
I wonder if it's like kind of like Beantown.
Right?
Like no one really uses it.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
Unless someone's listening who's like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about because that's all we ever called it.
Yeah, I mean, write it in and let us know.
I also think it's like, I just don't like that name.
I don't know. It just seems a little silly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I already say peanut butter and jelly, and we didn't give that like a silly name.
Nope. So
I'm like, peanut butter and fluff.
Yeah.
One less syllable,
Yeah, it seems easier than Fluffernutter.
right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, the Fluffernutter thing in my head was really what was blowing my mind about this whole thing. But it's definitely a well-known concept. And I just had my first peanut butter and fluff and like,
Oh, I couldn't even remember the last time I had
yeah, probably since
anything with fluff in it.
since I was a very little kid, like maybe
Yeah.
like 7 or 8. It's been a while. And you know what?
How was it?
It was wicked good. It was good. I was like, well, I can't believe I stopped eating fluff.
Okay, I got something on the Fluffernutter.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, so The sandwich was not called a Fluffernutter until 1960, when an advertising firm they hired to create the term as a more effective way to call the sandwich.
Yeah.
It's a marketing term.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's about 60-odd years old.
So that's
Yeah.
why regular people didn't use it. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Damn marketers.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I think Fluff has a cool origin story here in Massachusetts. I appreciated learning about it. I was shocked at how much history there was on
I
it.
was kind of shocked at how old it is.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, because it's like over 100, right?
Yeah. And the Fluff website it was the most information out of any
So it
other
had a lot of
website.
information, not a lot of fluff.
Not a lot of fluff. No. There was a lot in there. They really packed it in. It was a long read for not what I expected. Considering not that Benny's is older, but when I looked at Benny's stuff, I was like, oh, there really wasn't a lot on Benny's.
Yeah.
And I kind of expected Fluff to go the same way, and that was not the case. There was
Huh.
definitely a lot on those two guys.
There must be a fluff historian.
There must be. And I was interested in when did these guys kind of phase out? It sounds like they had the company for years.
Yeah.
And years and years. And I'm sure either they retired or...
I thought it was like a hostess thing for a while, it was going to go out of business, but I might just be misremembering that because,
Maybe.
yeah.
Thinking
Like
of selling
a-
it off.
Yeah, oh no, we're going to close up our fluff doors.
Yeah. I really hope these guys were the Willy Wonkas of Fluff.
Everybody, as you're telling the story, in my head was short and orange. Everybody.
And because where were they again? Not in Swampscott, but Lowell?
No.
Lynn?
Lynn.
East something
East
Street?
Lynn?
East Lynn.
East Lynn.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's where Fluff was getting pumped out of. That's crazy to me.
That's why they always say Lynn, the city of fluff.
Yeah.
I don't think they said that.
No, I've heard it.
No.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. They say it a lot in Swampscott, apparently.
Yeah.
Go Swampscott.
But that's pretty much all I had on Fluff. I liked your story about your sister's
It's really gross.
gross sandwich.
It's really disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the part where we stop talking.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. So thanks again for listening.